Good evening, Sean.
Hello, Dave.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay too. I think we're both just kind of okay right now. Like both
Yeah.
dealing with things and life and
Yeah.
pandemic and blah blah. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're both doing okay. Doing okay.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
so I got a turn at the stream, which is always
Yes.
nice, right? Like that's always nice.
Yeah. I like to let you do
Um,
it sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I think sometimes I'm
Yeah.
let loose on the stream,
Mhm.
which inevitably means I find another card game for us to play, a
Mm.
card-based roguelike for us to play. Um, for those of you who have maybe watched the stream before, and we've played games like um, Slay the Spire, I even played a little bit of Hearthstone on stream once, and Monster Train,
Yeah.
which was probably one of the most recent card games I brought. This is something. The other one was Griftlands. Griftlands.
Yeah. Griff. That was the one I was. I thought maybe this was.
Yeah, They kind of came out around the same time, I think, and they were getting kind of interest from some of the same quarters. You know, people who were into their card games and wanted something a bit different.
Griftlands. Thanks, Dave Soft.
Yeah, Griftlands, indeed. Yeah, that's the one. So that had kind of a bit more of a story aspect. You had some encounters. There were characters along your side mission and things like that. And there was this is Nowhere Prophet, and it has some of the same aspects to it as kind of all those other games I've just mentioned. It's trying to lean towards Griftlands, but not quite so heavy on the narrative. There is quite a bit of text. I'll read it out as we go along. But
is this in the game or is this the main menu?
This is one of the main This is one of the menus in the game. Okay,
Right,
so what I did, and uncharacteristically, I played a bit of this game already. Not loads, not Sean level of play before we stream. But I thought I'd try and get through most of the tutorialization and have a bit of a sense of what I was doing. But I have completed basically the first map.
Right.
And we'll see what happens after you complete your first map. I don't know. But the first map was kind of very much a straightforward, kind of walk you through the game, etc. So basically you have two decks of cards that you can mess around with. This is your convoy deck, which has a maximum of 24. Don't think I've seen a minimum yet. That's often
right.
The UI gives helpful things like your mana curve, or they don't call it mana, but for anyone who plays computer games, card games, it's essentially the same thing. It's a very Hearthstone-esque kind of mana system. So these are all kind of people in your warband. Right. Okay. And they do stuff. A lot of stuff that's very similar.
Is the number like how good they are? How much mana they?
That's how much they cost. I mean, so far I've very much been like prioritizing low cost cards because the games have been very quick. I don't think that's necessarily going to be representative of the stuff beyond the first map. I think you're going to need some of the more expensive cards as you get deeper into the game. I don't know. I don't know much yet about it, but I won't go into what they all do because it will feel very familiar once you actually start seeing the game, the card-based side of the game in action.
Yeah.
The other side of the game is got a bit more of a kind of like RPG, slightly rogue-like element that is tied to a separate deck of cards called your leader deck. Now, I appreciate my face is slightly over my equipment tab here, but just don't worry about that. It's just my armor.
Okay.
You get cards, or cargo, should I say, that are basically like items, rocket launcher, grenade launcher, that give you different in-game, like in-fight abilities, as well as they can be broken down into cards for your leader deck, which you get to use alongside your kind of convoy deck, your dude deck.
So you've got a leader deck. Which is that's your two decks, leader deck and convoy deck.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And you said there is a roguelike. So Mr. JJ asking. So it is a roguelike. Roguelike.
I mean, it's tagged as roguelike. I'm assuming because it will take many runs and many iterations to level up, you get experience and things like that. And you can whether or not it's like or light, that classic definition that we always come back to, right?
Steal of which one are we going to call it?
So it depends. It depends if when we go back through the loop, presuming there is a loop, that we're able to make permanent changes. And if we are, then it's a light. And if you start in exactly the same spot and you haven't gained any long-term benefits, then it is a roguelike. At least that's my understanding of the definitions between the two. Your mileage may vary. So we're in a camp, as I said, at the end of the first map. You can heal your leaders and heal your followers, so that's kind of your cards get damaged along the way.
Okay.
And absolutely no reason to apologize there, Mr. Jew 3. We don't talk about roguelikes all the time, only when it's kind of vaguely relevant to whichever game we're playing, which it does come up, doesn't it, Sean? In fairness, it does come up. And we always forget. We always forget, basically. So, so that's what that stuff on the top is. We can inspect our convoy, which I've sold basically anything useful for. There's just a bunch of different resources and things to manage alongside your decks and things like that. And then because we're in a camp, we've got these options. Now, I haven't ever seen an option to explore an area, Sean. So that's new. But we can recruit new followers. They cost batteries. Batteries is, of course, the big...
Is this the post-apocalyptic
currency du jour?
Battery?
Yeah, batteries. Yeah. So they're all quite expensive. Some of them are cheaper than others, and I've only got 22, and I don't really feel the need for more followers yet. And also don't really know enough about the game to feel comfortable selling a resource such as the batteries. The enemies have felt very easy so far, right? Like I've just breezed through a lot of stuff.
You've got those fodder 1 mana people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The enemy, the reason, and we'll get to this in a minute, but the enemies have felt very, very easy. So I can also leave the camp and continue my journey just to make clear what's going on. The story, you get it a bit in a cutscene, but it is very thin.
Okay.
And that's not as a criticism. It's more just that you don't have to know a lot in order to get basically what's going on. I am a prophet of what no one really knows. Something fell from the sky. It sounds like really exciting technology, and we're trying to get to it.
Batteries.
More batteries, yeah. Well, actually, no. The thing from the sky told us to get to the crypt, I believe. See, so I've forgotten it already, but we're trying to get to the crypt. That's where we're going. Yeah. That's our journey, right? And we've got a warband for some reason who are following us. So, Sean, I'll let you pick the crane, the gallows, the slopes, or the works, because we're going to explore an area.
Let's go to the gallows. So Dave Stuffs asks, is there a difficulty setting?
That's a very good question, Dave. I didn't notice one, but I would hope it's starting on normal, but there might be a difficulty setting that I've missed. Okay, so the gallows were a large entertainment district with the public execution area at its center. Fantastic. As we arrived, a group of young men, obviously not locals, but feral intruders, were being hanged for stealing. They soon dangled in the wind large signs around their necks that stated their crimes. And I've got talk to the locals or hire help. Seems a bit of a weird thing to do here.
Yeah.
Or return, which I'm guessing means kind of like don't go there. Return to the menu. So what are you feeling, Sean? Do you want to hire?
Talk to locals, right?
Talk to the locals, yeah. Okay, so we talked to a few traveling caravans. A trader from the Neru Khan hub complained that the Union rigidly enforced its ban on the slave trade. This was considered bad business by many other factions. It gives false hope and bad ideas to a lot of the slaves, if you ask me. ... Okay, so we've gained 3 scholar points.
Okay.
I've already got...
Or
Sorry?
Have you gained people? What's a scholar?
No. So you're right. That does look like I've gained 3 scholars, but I think it's 3 scholar points. Yeah. So you can see at the top here, I've gained 3 scholar. Should be scholarship, shouldn't it, Sean? Being that we are both scholars. This shows how much your convoy is driven by curiosity and their desire to understand versus the altruist. This shows how giving and open your convoy is. So your convoy, which is basically all these cards of dudes and you.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. So getting used to the game's nomenclature takes a moment, sure. But the convoy gains and loses these traits based on the choices you make.
So I guess because you spoke to them, you learned something, so you got scholar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
see.
So that's the Gallowed, and we can't explore that more. So I'm guessing, I thought maybe we would only get to explore one of these, but I'm going to explore them all if I can. So
yeah, why wouldn't you? I guess.
I don't know. Should we go for the works next? Okay.
Oh, I missed the works. I didn't appreciate how much I missed going into a works and just looking at the shitty books about Fortnite.
Did you ever buy them? Did you ever buy anything from them?
No, I never buy them. That's not what the works is for.
Okay.
I might buy a fidget spinner. That's what I might buy from the works.
Good call.
My fidget spinners at work.
They occasionally had board games, good board games, for sale in the works really cheaply. They'd get a bulk load of good board games. So yeah, but that was it. Okay, so this is the works, not the works. Down in the center in the pit there were several massive holes, each swarming with workers. These caravans led to the underground mining areas called the works. There are a few checkpoints, but it was chaotic enough that we could easily sneak past. So we can ask for work, and then it gives you options here that are risky and unlikely, and you can just
chance that kind of implies something bad happens if you fail, right?
I would have thought so. Yeah, I would have thought so. But some of these are. It's interesting for us, obviously, with multiple choice. How you convey that to a player, and it's you and me are immediately chance, risk, chance of failure equals bad. But I have no idea that asking for work. I mean, personally, that's something I very rarely do in life, is ask for work. But maybe we should do that here.
That feels like the video game protagonist thing to do.
Okay. It does, yes, a side quest. Right, okay. We approached the guards and asked if there was any work to be done. The overseer shrugged. Sure, if you've got people hard enough to break and carry rocks, there's always work in the Union. Okay, so we can send some followers to work, chance risky. Send a lot of followers to work. We can't do that because our population of our convoy is only 24, not 50. So we can do something risky, or we can just book out. Sean, how are you feeling? Feeling risky?
Yes. What on earth is going to happen? Risky.
What
we fail to send followers.
I have no idea.
They don't do a good job. What? I kind of want to know what happens if you fail.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's all in the name of science. The work was backbreaking, extracting various minerals from the mines by hand, some of them volatile or dangerous, always being watched by grim overseers wearing the Union's yellow cog. At least we got paid. So we got some batteries.
In batteries, yeah.
Yay. Right. So I could explore these two, but I'm just going to move us on. All right. I've decided to move us on. So, go on.
Do you think in this future, world where batteries are currency, everyone has a battery tester on them?
You're right.
You could totally get away with just giving you dud batteries.
Yeah, you could get gypped, can you, quite easily. Right, so this is something new. This is an overall map, right? So the blue...
this is your roguelike map, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the... Yeah.
Oh, wait till you see the one for the zones, all right? So this blue, the darker blue is where we have been. That's where we started, right? This zone is obviously what I traveled through off camera. This red dot on the far right is the crypt that we're aiming for, and then we can choose the routes, the kind of, I don't know, meta route, if you like, through to the crypt. So we do have a little bit of choice here, and all I think I can see here really is the symbols, right? And it's interesting these two have the same symbols. I don't know what those symbols mean. Dave Soft has voted for maximizing cow spots, which he's assuming these are. I like that. That's a good enough reason.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Min-max cows.
So we do get some info. Okay, enemies level 2 to 5, mountainous terrain. There's a monastery, rare spot. Okay, defended by Union Bulwark. So this one is swamp and bunker, and that's like basically different. So yeah, maximizing the cow route sounds good. So then, Sean, we get, and this is the map screen I do know and have played around with already, and it's, you know, it kind of, I don't mean to pick games that make us feel a little bit like we're playing Making It Home, but this made me think of Making It Home, honestly.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It has that vibe.
A little bit.
Yeah, and it's quite nice and juicy as a map screen. Like there's like nice like visuals and I was thinking as well, like just because of Making It Home, we've been talking a lot about Making It Home, and obviously that's what we're developing at the moment. I think it's kind of interesting that this doesn't give you the whole map on one screen, right? Like you have to move it around. That weirdly, I think, gives you a little bit of an extra sense of a journey.
Yeah.
Which is just
I like it.
So, and we can click on some of these things. So they give you a little bit of hints of what they're actually there as well. So, you know, that's all good. But basically, this is the first one. I have to travel here. Now, traveling costs food and hope. All right. So I've obviously been on road trips with my family before. Costs you food and hope. So we've got those in the top right here. You can see our the resources. So you don't really get much choice, though. You just got to do it. And along the way, these events, I think, seem to always happen, but maybe not always. There seems to be a very high chance that they happen. So, but they're journey events, and you can kind of skip them. So we came upon the wreck of a large modified transporter sitting right next to the road. The vehicle looked in good condition and wasn't gutted yet. Who would leave a treasure like that just sitting next to the road? Ranger mumbled. Now, Ranger, I believe, is one of my convoys, but I don't know them all by name yet.
Not on your leader deck? Or is your leader deck one person?
Oh, no, I'm Ranger. There you go. Sorry.
Okay,
sorry. I'm Ranger, obviously. So I've said that. So we can investigate or we can move on. So I guess we just investigate. The moment we climbed down from our vehicles, we were fired upon. We dove for cover immediately and received a few scratches along the way. Okay, and I lost 1 health there. The prophet is me.
Minus 1 health for the prophet.
Yeah. And then we do have a fight. Okay, so right. So this is the fight screen. I basically can edit my convoy deck or leader deck before a fight. I don't really have the reason to do that yet. And it tells me some stuff like the levels of the enemy, the fact I'm going first, also their stats, which is useful. So the blue one is kind of the equivalent of mana. So it's telling you that they start on 3, which is same as me. The grey one's some armor that they're going to start with, and the red one's their total health. So the thing I've noticed about these early games is that the enemy starts on a very low health, and you can just kind of nuke them. That's what I've been doing. I've just been like going full face, as it were, just killing them that quickly. Which is why I haven't really need these higher cost cards, these 4 and these 5s, because I'm just ending the game before.
Do you think part of that might be because you're a cards game kind of experienced person, that you can do this, and this is more for like people who, you know, are coming at it maybe as their first card game?
Of course, and well, I mean, I'm not a card shark or anything like that. I've just played a few card games in my time, but that doesn't. You're right, though. I think ultimately you have to be ready for people who've never played card games before, and are not going to look at this and go, "Ooh, that's a low health number." I'm just going to throw everything at that, ignore the board and throw everything at their like hero, which you're allowed to do in a lot of ways. So
there's a board.
There is a board. So it's in 4 rows, 3 columns. per side, so 6 columns in total, but 3 that you can deploy to. So you can see here I've got 2 dudes, a hermit and a bandit sapper, and as soon as I select one, so let's say the hermit, it shows me these like circles where I can deploy my unit, right? And this is where it becomes a bit like Monster Train in the sense that it was a bit kind of like tower defensey, right? Or like games where there are lanes. Okay, card games seem to have often embraced the idea of lanes.
Card games have become MOBAs.
Yeah, in that sense, I think they've kind of borrowed from that to give a different gameplay dynamic, I suppose, to the regular card games.
Wasn't there a physical card game that had lanes?
Yeah, I think there was a Games Workshop one based on 40k or maybe it was Warhammer. I can't remember which IP it was. They use lanes. Does the Witcher one in
do you mean Gwent?
Yeah, does
Gwent.
that use lanes?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so it's not a brand new idea, obviously, but when you come into the fight, also there are these obstacles. Sometimes they have rules and stuff on them as well. They have health that can be cleared. Again, this is part of the game that, to me, I've not really engaged that much in because it hasn't felt necessary. Right? I just killed every person that I've come up to.
Sure.
So I'm just going to pop some people out here. It's going to be up there. So that's taken one of my mana, and they drew me a leader card, which is all very nice. And this bandit sapper's legit, so she's going to pop over there. And she just hits the enemy for 2. And that's the end of my turn. So I spend my 3 mana.
Okay.
All right. And okay, so I get 1 more mana, and it all refreshes. It's played this card, which is shielded, so I can't hit it directly with an enemy leader card. But it okay, shielded strain. When an enemy follower joins an enemy, they take 2 damage. Okay, so that's just okay, interesting. So it's just like a trap. So whenever I play a follower, it deals 2 damage to that follower, and then the trap dies. Looks of it. So so yeah, that kind of the enemy unit didn't attack immediately. That's a good point. So the sapper's fury basically means whenever it does something when it enters the battlefield. So yeah, that's a kind of what we call ETBs, or enters the battlefield effects, and this game just calls them fury effects. Something like haste in Magic lets you do that, and things like that as well. So but you're right, Dave, you can't attack immediately. You need a turn for your followers on the board before they can attack. But they can attack face, right? Like if there's a certain ability called Taunt in the game. So like I can just go like straight to this face. And this is why I've just been winning immediately, right? Like, so I'm just going to make this guy big, make this person big.
So are the cards on the right, they're your leader cards. They're like your powers, like...
Yes.
Oh, what was that thing they added to Magic where you had a massive big card?
Oh, those were Vanguard cards. God, that's a throwback, right? But yeah, that didn't really take off, or didn't stick around. But you got Planeswalker cards that I felt a bit like that at times. But yeah, the leader cards are your abilities, and they seem quite strong. So like all I was able to do there was just like buff a couple of my units and then kill the enemy leader. Like I didn't have to mess around with what they were playing.
Yeah.
So it seems a bit like, again, maybe if I'm on a higher difficulty rating, that stops being an option.
So something I'm noticing off the bat is graphics, right? It's all graphic design. There's no animation. It's all like just movement of static images. Like
yes.
Which is it. that's like that feels like you could get an artist just to make a bunch of graphic. It's almost like is it, the artist they got to work on this, how different is it? Was that artist's job to an actual physical card game?
Yeah, really good point. Yeah.
There's no effects. There's not really much in the way of particle effects or.
I mean, some of these.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just like.
Yeah. No, I
suppose there was a particle effect there, but like compared to say some other games you've played. Well, no, like Monster Train was a bit like that.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I think Monster Train had more animated sprites than this does. I mean, they like everything in this game is 2D, right? So fair enough. But I mean, you can animate 2D, I know. And if you look at the kind of player profiles, you will see those they kind of move a little bit. But yeah, I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
Yeah, and Dave's up bringing up Darkest Dungeon as a similar kind of thing.
Yes, idle
like
animations.
That kind of, yeah. So what was happening with unit in the blocker? Dave's asking.
Over the enemy. Yeah, it's basically, unless someone's got taunt, which is this person, right? Like you can just attack the enemy hero straight off, right? So because this person has taunt, this is the only one I can attack, right? And what's weird about this in terms of lanes, yeah, it's a good question. Lanes do mean something in the sense that I think if I put someone behind this person, like someone in this lane can't attack the person behind. Again, I haven't really found it to be something that I actually have to concern myself with.
Is that so? There's like a little, like pizza slice on the back of. Is that? Does that have meaning? Like,
yeah, I think it means that person is at the. Actually, I don't know what that means because I was about to say that means they can attack, but that's what these three spikes on there in front of them mean.
Right.
Maybe it's.
Is that explained to you at all?
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and I probably just glossed over it. That might mean they're untapped, as it were. Like, so I haven't used it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to definitely attack here anyway. So yeah, that pizza slice goes, which means I think quite confidently that's basically this guy's annoying because he kills a follower, damages a follower when it comes in. So I'm going to attack him with this. So the rarely seen kill a follower rather than go straight for the face. And then we're going to play this monk down who's a taunt. It's pretty legit. Spends all my mana. So yeah, like these obstacles and stuff, like so far, like again, I'm so new to this that I don't want to make any I don't see the point in this kind of comments. But at the moment, I don't see.
Well, there obviously is going to be, right? Yeah. Like at some point, it's going to. That's going to become important. Otherwise, why is it there?
I think so. I agree. So burst fire seems legit in this column because it kills 2 guys. So let's just go ahead and do that. And then I've got a taunt up, so I don't need to worry about that. So let's just give.
So do you do? So am I right in recognizing that you play your follower cards, then your cards?
Leaders. You can do it in either order. It's fine.
Right.
Fine. You could also move between lanes. Why you would want it, I'm sure at some point that's going to be relevant too, but it just doesn't seem important right now. And I can definitely kill my opponent. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. You do gain a blessing for the follower that kills an opponent.
Right. Okay.
So I should be paying more attention to that. Because then if you see here along the bottom, anyone who's golden has got a blessing. And if I go into the deck, like you can see here, they've got this like lotus symbol on them. And this one's got an extra attack. This one's also got
right. So you get a okay.
So you get a little bonus for whichever one kills the enemy.
Can your cards die?
Yes. So if any of my at the moment I'm doing relatively well and none of my guys are injured, But I have had guys injured, and then I take them out of the deck because if they get defeated again, you lose the card.
So it's like permadeath.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
End of turn. No, I think it is permanent buffs. Permanent for this fight kind of thing. I don't seem to see any end of turn yet. But yeah, so you level up, which is, costs you batteries, so that's expensive. But you get like some new leader cards, but you have to flip 3, and then you get.
What's going on there narratively? There, where are those batteries being shoved? To
into your brain space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. 3 damage to a target is pretty legit. Full of strength, but it's a bit niche, and I've already got one of these, so we're going to go for a name shot. Okay. You can also edit down your leader deck with these points. Mm-hmm. So if you don't like any of the cards, I haven't found that.
So you have to spend points to get rid of cards.
Yeah. I haven't found that essential yet, but it could well be. Market. Skilled teacher. Okay, interesting. I'm going to go for that skilled teacher. That sounds exciting. I've seen markets, and I don't really need them. They're not that exciting yet. I don't have.
What
loads
do you
of
get
batteries.
in markets?
Well, you can sell stuff and to gain batteries, and then maybe buy some other gear and stuff like that. I haven't seen it be super important yet. These, by the way, appear to these cards are part of my convoy, and they seem to kind of come up here, as you can see. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just noticeable to me that these often come up, and I don't know if they're necessarily relevant to what's going on. But here we are. As we were in the middle of setting up camp, a well-armed and grim-looking group approached the perimeter. Their leader introduced himself, holding up a piece of paper with a sketch of a face. We're looking for a murderous criminal by the name of Gilly, rumored to hide within your convoy. Deliver them to us, and you shall be rewarded. Okay, so they want me to hand over this card.
Yeah.
Sounds of it, right? Mm-hmm. So you will take no one, will pay a bounty. There's no one here by that name, or hand over. What do you think, Sean?
I don't know no Gilly, do you? Who? Gilly who?
Okay, cool. Then we won't mind if you search the convoy. Bounty hunters went around, the men roughly grabbing people and comparing their faces to the sketch. Eventually they gave up, as nobody with that name or matching that face was among us. Dodged it.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, I would have been up for the fight, to be honest. But okay, so this is another in-travel event. We came upon a group of traders that were traveling in the opposite direction. The guards gave us a cautious look, but the merchants themselves greeted us cordially and asked if we needed any goods. So there's an option here that I don't have a legendary Blue Devil follower, whatever that is. So instead, I'm just going to trade. Merchants opened soda drawers. One showed us their goods. They have just recently visited some hydroponic farms and would trade fresh vegetables and fruits for batteries. So we can purchase food for batteries, but I think I'm good on food. 95 seems fine. And
so is food, if you run out of food, is this almost like the are those things in the top right your Battlestar Galactica, like if one of those runs out, you're dead? Or
I don't know, but I'm assuming running out of food is really bad. It costs food to go anywhere, so I'm assuming if you run out of food, you can then not go anywhere, and it seems like that would be
way more hope.
Yeah, I haven't got to that point yet, but I'm assuming it's pretty bad. Okay, we're just saying up shots fire in our direction. We dove cover yelling, "Oh, it's time to fight!" Cool. Just fight. So level 3 elites. Okay, so this should be a bit of a challenge. I don't think I want to do anything to my deck. I don't have any options there, so let's just go ahead. I don't like all these expensive cards. Let's fully mulligan all of these. Okay, loads of expensive cards. Right, what does this do? Equipment case. Revenge. Attacker's convoy gains a piece of equipment. Okay. So revenge is like an on-death effect. So if we kill this, we get some equipment. that's pretty cool. So I might just pop this guy down here. I'm done. You can also manually discard a card and draw a new card, so I should probably be doing that a lot more. There is a hand limit. So, all right, what does this do?
Okay, so you pick up a card every turn.
Yes, you do. Yeah, for both decks basically, and there is a limit. But I haven't really found that to be a huge problem. This got first strike. Okay, so yeah, that's Again, so much of it is like nomenclature that you will all recognize from other card games as well.
Assuming that you've played other card games.
Yeah.
I did find it funny when you're like, I'm no card expert, and then you just talked about MTBs or whatever it was.
ETBs.
Or was it ETBs?
Yeah,
Enter the Battlefield something.
Yeah, Enter the Battlefield effects. But I mean, that you don't have to be an expert. That's just someone who's played too many card games.
Yeah, or watched too many card game YouTube videos, right?
Yes, that is also the correct. Can I? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So my leader is tapped.
Do you find? So we've been playing since the whole pandemic and everything. The people I tend to play board games with, we've been playing games online.
Yeah.
Using various things. Well, it doesn't count for Board Game Simulator actually. So we bought Root on Steam.
Amazing game. Yeah.
So like Root, as in it's the video game version of Root.
Yeah.
So it's like this, which means you don't have to actually pick a card from a deck. You don't really have to read the rules. Like the game does stuff for you, and it's made the game way harder to learn. And we've all kind of decided that we'd enjoy it, but we're going to enjoy it with the board game.
Fair.
And I think it's similarly watching this here. Like when you lose that sense of you're picking a card up and put it in your hand, like sometimes, like how much do you lose that feel of there's a deck of cards here, and like, how far am I getting down the deck? Like, will that change what I do? I don't know. Like it's interesting how many of these games have come out where they are directly simulating card games.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point. I do love that tactility of card games. I've always enjoyed that, and like you and I both play board games for that reason as well, right? Like and so like there it is, Mark. So I do miss that for sure. Like, and some games, like we've had tabletop simulator versions of some card games that I've tried to play with friends who I normally play card games with, and that's not worked out. And obviously Hearthstone's a digital card game, and Magic's got digital versions and things like that. It's a different experience. It's a more, like you say, more curated, more managed experience, which for some people is a positive, because some of those games are very complicated, and if you get stuff wrong, that can leave quite a negative feeling. Like, I suppose that's some of the good thing side of learning a board game through like an online version, is you're far less likely to just make a game-breaking mistake. But I think it's really interesting, and a good point that you found it harder to learn even with the computer dealing with a lot of the rules for you.
Yeah, I think it was the thing that was difficult is it was in particular the person who was playing. So if you don't know, Root is a 4-player, completely asymmetric war game, I guess.
Yeah.
Best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And every faction has completely different rules. Right, there are some common like battling mechanics, but even those aren't common, right? Like there are certain people
who battle very differently. Yeah.
Like, and so the player there's one player. So most 3 of the factions you do control like what you might consider an army, but one of them you are just one person walking around the board, almost playing an RPG.
I love the Vagabond. Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah. So our friend who was playing that character, because that's so different, she was really struggling to pick things up. Whereas
Yeah.
Like when you're playing a board game, like everyone is involved in every turn that everyone else is taking, and so you learn more from listening to people. Because like I don't know if you do this, but well, I know you do. In fact, like you kind of narrate your turn, like you know, like when you play a game, and I think that means you can learn through that, or like you have to discuss like, oh, am I allowed to do this? Let's look at the rule book, and you know, everyone looks together, and like, and when it's like Dave was saying, when the PC you click a button and it just does it for you, there could be like 3 or 4 rules happening in that button click that you haven't learned because the computer just did it.
Yes, yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I think I would say, like, just in addition to that, Root is a very difficult game to teach.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like, it's not even just that it's a hard game. Like, in terms of its degree of complexity, it's like just the start of that game is very difficult. Like to get to, it's a very difficult game to get started with. Just kill my opponent. I know you have taunt. So yeah, like I think it's a really, really tough game to learn because of the asymmetry, not the complexity of it. What you're describing happens. I've taught Root like on the tabletop, like to 4 different groups of people, maybe more.
Yeah.
Like in the before times, and it's a challenging game to pick up, and everybody's always like, that was really interesting, like maybe I'll know what to do next time.
Yeah.
I didn't read that card, Sean. There we go.
Did you kill everybody?
I didn't realize that was what I was gonna do. I thought it was a single target removal spell and it just nuked the board. Oh well. There we go. Card Shark Dave strikes again. But I mean, interestingly, did you enjoy Root? And
I did.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and like I think we played twice, and like I was immediately like, I want to play it again.
Yeah.
I want to. Because it was right in my last turn. I was like, I could have won if I understood what I was doing. Like I should have done this, but I didn't. I did this other. Like I realized that I really, and everyone else realized as well. And so they were like, every turn they were like, Sean, you'd have won this turn. Like if you, because you, like you'd have won again this turn. And so yeah, like now I understand it. But I think a part of it as well is because it was a computer game. None of us like read the rules really before, because you don't feel like that's a thing you should need to do. But actually, you absolutely needed to do that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So yeah.
That is super interesting. Well, if you do want to play Root without having to buy it, like in physical copy, obviously when we can see each other again, I will happily lend you Root. I do have the expansion as well, but obviously maybe don't go into that unless you before doing which adds to again two very different, completely different factions. Right, so like, okay, great. 6 months.
I haven't played poker in a very long time.
That's weirdly one of those things that I just cannot get on with.
Yeah.
As a gamer, as poker, I'm really glad because I think it could be, risky, obviously.
Yeah, you kind of have to play with money. Like it doesn't work whenever you need a real stake. Like I never played for like huge amounts of money. Like we would play like everyone. We'd play poker in a group of like sometimes actually like five to 10 people, and we'd all just put a tenner in the pot. and then we'd play with chips, and whoever has the most chips at the end gets the whole pot. And you know, but I really enjoy. I think I found it quite fascinating with the bluffing and stuff, and I quite enjoyed that. What's the game where it's beer mats, and it's like biker beer mats?
Skull. Skull, yeah.
Skull is great.
Skull,
you see, Skull is the poke. Like that's poker in a like boiled down kind of.
Yes, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. And I think I get the same vibe from that. And weirdly, Battlestar Galactica as well. Like has that same feeling, and it kind of is about lying. I suppose in the same way, like I guess Among Us is very. You have to be okay, like pretend lying to your friends.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, obviously. I've got so this. I have a wounded card, Sean. This is what happens when you have a wounded card because someone died. Well, I say someone died. I played the wrong card.
You killed him
and killed them.
Didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if that follower gets destroyed again, like they're gone. But I will be able to heal them. So there's no reason to do that at the moment. Anyway. So. But yeah. What was I gonna say? I love Root because it's asymmetry, but I think it makes it very, very difficult to pick up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So one game that I think is really good that's asymmetric and what's my favorite board game is Cosmic Encounter, right? That's asymmetric and like really but broken.
It's a much more elegant design though, like compared to Root. Like I like Root's complexity, but it's a bit much really for a lot of people.
Yeah. I've never played Among Us. Have you checked it out?
No, I haven't either.
I quite like games where you have a hidden objective.
Yeah, you're big on hidden role games, aren't you? Yeah.
There was a there's one game like a Terry Pratchett game.
Ankh-Morpork or Clank or something like that.
I think it might be Ankh-Morpork, where it's like everyone. It's a relatively simple game, but everyone there's like. You play with 5 people and there are 5 objectives and they get randomly distributed.
I've played that once. Yeah, I think it is Ankh-Morpork, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the one with just like a one circle board. There's not many spaces on the board. That I quite enjoy. I like that. There's the other Terry Pratchett game, which is really complicated, and we played it. We played it once, and I've only played it once. We found it so complicated, right? We were really struggling with the rules and we were all trying to learn it together and we were like, oh man, this has been so hard. What do you do? Like, I don't know what to do. And at the end, as we were packing away, we closed the board and saw that there was like a quick start guide, like they're like 4-player guides, little pieces of paper that were under the board that we just, like they put them down on the table, put the board down and then like not realize they were there to help.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that Clax? Or is it Clanks or something like that?
No, I don't think so. It came out at the same time as the other one, I think. So Dave's just mentioning Gary's mod. I keep meaning to kind of fire up Gary's mod. I haven't put that in ages.
So I'm going to assume that because this guy's behind this guy, they can't attack my soldier until this guy's dead. I'm going to assume that. I don't know if that's...
Yeah.
But otherwise, like people have said, like the lanes get a bit like, what's this even for if this isn't doing what that does?
But then the weird thing is that you can just attack your leader without, like, if you don't have someone with taunt.
Yeah. So
something like if can you attack? Is it like when only the first? You can't attack because you're behind that rock.
I'm behind an obstacle. Yeah, he pushed me behind an obstacle, which was quite
right.
clever.
So there's an obstacle, meaning for an obstacle there.
Yeah.
What if you had a full board? Like, what if every column or every row was filled? Could you then attack still? Or if you had like a front line of people?
Again, I think you can if you just don't. If the only way to stop them attacking the base, as it were, is to have taunt. I think.
Yeah. See.
So we're gonna have to deal with some of these big people on board. So let's zap that guy out and quick shot this guy.
That was a very strange expression on your guy's face.
Yeah. This one's been a bit more of a fight. That first fight's gonna be good. Right. So this guy's really shifty. I quite like him. So, he gets more powerful the more people that die. Be up here. No real reason. Ah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think they've run out of deck. I haven't had this happen yet, but I think they're giving so soon enough our adversary realized they had no chance of winning because they're out of cards. They stopped their attack and still behind cover asked for mercy. Are you feeling merciful, Sean?
Did they attack you or did you attack them?
A bit hard to say because I wasn't reading the text.
Oh, let's assume they attacked you.
So
in which case is their problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, shouldn't have started the fight.
Shouldn't have started something you can't finish. Okay, we got a third eye amp. I'm sure that's great. And some tea. Random stuff.
Third eye amp?
Okay, so yeah, it's yeah, I'm glad. Okay, so you can see. So armor plating, right? Gives me starting of 1 armor. It's kind of like the bed. You can dismantle into stuff, but I haven't actually figured quite out how to dismantle stuff yet. But if I equip this, when the enemy leader takes damage from a leader card, regain 1 energy once per turn. Ooh.
Do you have a choice? Is that a choice or what's going on here?
So that's like a static ability that your equipment gives you during a fight.
Right.
And what it does, it will regain 1 energy once per turn, only twice per battle, and you have to. It's really specific, but potentially quite strong in the right kind of leader deck if you're doing lots of damage to the enemy leader. So this is where I think, like, as you start to build up more and more cards, you're going to start to build up potential synergies, right? But early on, I just feel like I'm picking what I think of without really knowing as just kind of good cards, right?
Sure.
Got second equipment slot. That's nice. But I don't really feel like my deck has a focus yet for any of these things.
That one's a one-way trip.
I know. I'm assuming I can go backwards.
Up some things.
But
it opened up a bunch of forward routes.
I did it again. I must have missed it. Okay. Our convoy arrived at Roaring Waterfall. Its bottom, an emerald green pool had formed. Next to the water was a well-constructed monastery made from the gleaming red rock typical of this region. Heavily armored monks and believers watched us calmly from the fortification. So we can pay batteries to get in, beg for entry, reveal powers at the cost of 2 health. I think I'm going to pay batteries. We moved toward the gate, offering up a donation, a generous gift, mused the monk that received it, inspecting the small bag we handed him. Only those of you who are in need of healing may enter unarmed. Okay. So we got once through the metal gate, the believers took our weapons and led us to the pool. The cool air and the rushing water were soothing. The middle statue of Bujaha, in her aspect as a warrior monk, were watched over the pool, overseeing the sparring monks and believers. So we got 4 hope for that. It was nice. I think we can pay our respects. Turning to the blood red stone statue, we greeted Bujaha with the warrior salute and a long deep bow. Then we bathed in the calming waters of the pool. Then we enjoyed the rest of our stay in peace. The monks seemed to appreciate the respect we had shown for their faith. So now we get 2 believer points. And we can do things like this, which is I can kind of use these luxury items. I share them with our with the convoy, and they gain hope, basically.
Right.
So let's just do that. Why not? And then we can spend food to heal. I don't think I need it, but I'd quite like to heal my followers.
Yeah, your followers are looking a bit red.
They are looking a bit red, yeah.
So do you have a sense of what hope does hope matter?
I mean, yeah, must be, right?
So, like, okay, so yeah, Dave I've mentioned the techno spiritualism. What are they worshipping here?
Well, we came out here for the teaching. What are they? I don't know. I think you're right. Like Dave Soft, I agree. I think you have to get more invested in this world than I really am to get into it. The post-apocalyptic kind of techno-spiritual type world. I think it looks like a cool aesthetic. It's generated some great assets and some great UI.
Yeah.
But because I'm not that invested in like who I am, and also some of that doesn't really feel that relevant to the card game. I'm not sure I care, to be honest. But that, like games like Slay the Spire and I suppose to some extent Hearthstone and other card games, I don't play them for the story.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, so that added new. Okay, so it's a market. Let's go to that.
I was reading some people were chatting on Twitter, some developers, about how like people really there's almost like a movement towards more sandbox games, or that people want now, possibly at the expense of story.
Okay.
Like that people want a game that is going to be always updated and kind of iterated on, and like a Valheim, like a Factorio, like a Satisfactory, like those sorts of kind of forever games, I guess. Or like, when do they? I can't know what my point was with that, other than like it's interesting. You're not feeling drawn to the story, but there's clearly a real effort to put the story in here.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely. And
like a real, like really kind of it's really pushed. It's really ingrained in everything you're doing. I think, yeah. So Dave Soft mentioned procedural, and I think that is a key thing. Is like it's creating games that are like almost random storytellers, so that people can stream them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think so. Like you look at something like RimWorld, right? Like, is that the story just kind of makes itself. And I say that as someone who spent Sunday afternoon putting story into a game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I mean, not all games need a story. Like it's easy to assume that like it's what everybody wants. It's not necessarily what everybody wants, and that's fine.
Is it because is there something where if you get a Venn diagram of people who really like card games and people who really want to play a game for a story, like is there something, or I don't know, in my like I would see is if you play card games, in my perhaps reductionist way of thinking, is you're really focusing on the numbers and the effects and everything and the mechanics. It's a very mechanics heavy game, right? And so like for example when we played that city, that really chill city builder game you had,
Islanders, is that?
Yeah, and you were like, right, this is the best points to get. I'm going to place this here because it's the best points. And I was like, oh no, but that's not aesthetic. Like, it doesn't look nice there. You should put it where it's. Is it that? Is it something there where like this style of game? It's like the card games are very mechanical and not, that isn't necessarily something that goes alongside a story. At least the type of people who like those games wouldn't necessarily. They want the mechanics. They want to know exactly what effect I have and all this stuff. I don't know. Am I making any sense?
Not really. Are you trying to suggest that story? I mean, yeah, like you could play like, so people tested and played Magic the Gathering with like just cards, like pieces of paper with one number in the top right hand corner and two numbers in the bottom right hand corner and just text, right? Like, and you can play any game like that in that bare bones way, but like it wouldn't be nearly as popular, right? Like people want the flavor text, they want the artwork, they want the names of the cards to matter and things like that. So, like, there's obviously a relationship between the mechanics of a game and what else is going on.
Yeah.
Right? Like, But I think you're right.
Like it's like calling it First Strike. That's or Fury. There's a theme. There's a thematic thing there. Yeah.
I think for me, like the weird, and I appreciate. Oh yes, good point. Thank you. I was about to let this guy not act rubbish. What was I going to say? Completely lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Story, mechanics, cards. Numbers.
Yeah, that all sounds good.
Paper.
Oh, I know. What I was going to say about this game so far is that I just haven't quite clocked into or gotten used to enough the lane mechanics. I thought it was weird that I could attack not just the enemy hero, but above lanes, right? Like, so it doesn't really feel like this is yet doing something. Okay, should have known that. Okay, so they get the effect there.
I wonder if there's something where you can use that to tank or something. Is that going to be a where you can put your units in front of other units to protect them? And
yes, but I've yet to see that be important. Like, and I'm guessing I'm very early in the game. I have no doubt that like all that is going to be really, really relevant, and there's going to be some super cool combos and stuff that you can do, and that's going to be great. But I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just obstacles. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dave's mentioned Outer Wilds, and I can't not talk about Outer Wilds. So it does have a story, but it feels very background while you're still exploring. I feel like I was always like, when I played Outer Wilds, I was always thinking about the story and solving the mystery. Mm-hmm. It's like a mystery game. So it's like, so that game's so good, man. Like that game, like that. I think I was saying, like, I'm struggling to find a game to really get into, and I think it's because Outer Wilds I've not found anything even close. Like, nothing has come close to that game in terms of interesting me. It's I mean, yeah, it's just, it grabbed me in such a way that grabbed me in a way that no other game is going to grab me, and so well made, like so well made. It's like exploration in its kind of it's just, I don't know how to even begin to describe like why but it's that mystery for me. It's like it's the ultimate puzzle game, I guess. Yeah, and just kind of going through and picking all the pieces and working it all out. And I know there's still stuff in the game I haven't figured out. But I don't like. Yeah, I need to. I might be able to go back to it sometime. But it was quite an emotional roller coaster as well, like, which I didn't expect. So yeah, it's like, but yeah, no, it's such a good game. Such a good game.
Nice. I'm playing into this guy's hand a little bit by killing all his followers.
So has he got a special effect that? Why is that?
So he gets more armor, or he did. Now he's not. Okay, that's weird. He was getting more armor whenever I killed one of his followers. So maybe there's a limit to that. Can't. So yeah, like, yeah, I think we're just gonna run this guy. Oh, he's got 9 cards left. I'm not gonna run him out of cards before we kill him. But like, this has certainly been a fight where I've like let it go a bit longer than I might have otherwise.
How's the sound design?
It's good. Yeah, nice kind of. Like, again, you have to be into the kind of aesthetic that it's going for.
I like the idea of the idea that your deck is actually a deck of people, and that that you have so like that when that person came and was like, "Oh, we're looking for this dude," and it's one of your cards.
Yes. That's neat. And you get to know your cards. Like, that's something that, like, I think would be really appealing to a lot of people. Is a sense of like learning these people and learning what they're like, and like, you know, them being with you through the whole time, and you being gutted when they die and happy when you heal them back up, and so that's the whole map basically, right? Like, so it's kind of you get to this next part, and you're just like on this convoy journey to reach this crypt. And you know, you kind of got a sense of the game, right? Like sweets with my guys, and you know, let's make sure. Oh, this warrior monk died, I think. Heal everybody. We're gonna heal me. Sell my items. I mean, we can buy this stuff, but I don't think I need it.
Are there any other card games like that, where your cards represent people that you can think of?
Well, I mean,
I suppose like Dominion kind of does.
Well, I guess these are actually characters, and you can actually rename them, stuff like this.
Oh, cool! I was going to say, they actually do. I didn't even notice they had names.
Yeah, they do. So when they come, that's when it was like, oh, Gilly says blah blah blah, right?
Yeah. And do they actually have different abilities too?
So, well, let's look at this. I've got 2 scouts, right? So if I take a scout out, that's Chip Wrath, and this one is Karnik. So even the same cards, it's not like Magic or Hearthstone where you can have 2 of card called the same thing, right? Like these are the same card but with different names.
Yeah. Okay. So is there a point where you can upgrade, you could upgrade a card, a person?
Oh, I don't know yet, actually. That's a good point. I don't know. If you can like get Chiratra level 2 or whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep playing it for just a little bit more. Let's see if there's any sweet new followers. There's loads of followers here, but we don't have many batteries.
So that was a full. So that was the first one of those sections.
That was the second map. Yeah, like so if I go to Leave
okay.
Camp, right? So what we did is we did that first bull cow, max cow thing, right?
Yeah.
And we did that one I did off stream, and then we just.
I see. Okay, right. Yeah.
So technically, I suppose like there's only 2 more until we get to the end of the loop. And again, this is interesting for making it home when you think of how long. So we've been playing for about an hour and a quarter now. Not booking it through, but like not reading everything and not exploring everything. So this loop's probably going to take, at least on the first time, a couple of hours, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, and you could get through it quite quickly, but you would be missing the point. I think really, like you say, like a lot of effort and a lot of work has gone into making you care about, like actually stopping and reading this stuff. So it's not a quick loop. It's not a quick like Spelunky. Well, at least when we play Spelunky or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so are you? So is that then when you get? So are you certain that when you get to that red point, that's the one loop? That's your roguelike loop.
I'm not certain, but that seems to be the suggestion. I don't understand how you could call this a roguelike if it doesn't at least end within a few hours, right?
Yeah. Well, do they like you think about like what like thinking about something like Dead Cells, like a whole loop of Dead Cells, could be hours and hours.
Yeah, true.
Even like Hades. Think about that.
Yes, that's a good point.
That's a good question from Dave Soft. What's the time to fun? Can you play this in your lunch break?
I mean, I think yes, because but you wouldn't finish it in your lunch break. You could totally play a bit in your lunch break, get a few fights in, get further along the map, and you'd be like, great. Get some fights done, but yeah. What's interesting now is I'm starting to get more of a sense of like the cards I personally like. They might not necessarily be quote unquote good, but the cards I like versus the cards that
The one thing about the naming thing, so like I imagine like that they're trying to get that sense of like an XCOM where your guys, right? That's your team and But there's something about in XCOM where there's something like those characters are they get quite different from each other. As they level up, as you send them on missions, they might get injured and stuff happens. Whereas here, do you really feel between your two scouts that
No.
Like, do you really know that, like they're just two scouts, right? Or like,
yeah, at the moment, yeah, definitely. But I mean, is that
you don't know if that might change, right?
Yeah, and I also think like on your starting deck, like do you care about your initiates? No, but you might care about that one that you just get, and it's like, oh man, that one's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. I think that may be where you feel.
And there was some stuff going on with the story, like you said.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, it's just like, so even if you weren't streaming, you wouldn't read all the stuff that's been? Would you just skip through and just to the next one and I'll get my?
I think the problem with not reading it is that you just don't really get a sense of like what the options actually mean, and I think that is a problem. But it's just like attack the rusters, waiting for the fighting to end. Like if you don't read that, like the story above it, like I guess you just can't get too pissed off when the choices bite you in the backside because you've chosen obviously the wrong thing if you'd actually read what was going on. But I also think you would be missing out on this system up here of like these different things that do open up other options based on like kind of characterizing your convoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think weirdly, if I wasn't streaming, I'd probably pay more attention to that because I think like when we're streaming, like I'm more concerned that people are enjoying what we're doing and talking about than necessarily going through every part of the story in a game.
Yeah. Sure. I suppose I think what's interesting to me is like how, I don't know, like the reason I'm thinking about it is like in Making a Home, we kind of went in a different direction, didn't we? With like, we almost separated the story out a bit.
Yes.
In response to, it's not completely separate. Like it's not at all. And like, again, like I've so on Sunday I put in the Act 3 story that you'd written, and then so I was testing it a bit, and then I was finding myself engaging with it more. And enjoying it and thinking, oh yeah, and like realizing some stuff that I kind of knew but didn't know, some things that were revealed, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's interesting. And like I would, but I don't know the point I was making, but like I suppose for us, I've always seen the story as a reward. It's like you get to a place and you get more story revealed to you. And I guess so yeah, it's like I suppose the thing is like how much do you want to know? Like, well, you probably don't right now, but how much do you want to know what's going on? Yeah, I don't know.
So sorry, yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, like, I should want to know, right? Like I should want to know, and I think most of the time I do want to know, and I probably get more and more into it. This fight has just opened up some more interesting stuff. I think because the AI has decided actually I'm going to bother about positioning. So it's got this obstacle here, right? So I can't attack behind the obstacle. So it's fired its stuff behind the obstacle. Now normally that seemed like a bad idea to me because it means that this unit can't attack, right?
Yeah.
But these things don't need to be at the front to have their abilities do something. So it's got sniper, so it can attack even if it's not in the frontline position. And this thing just attacks the opposing row, right? So those are two, like it's interesting that it's this far in on the third map where I've just started to see enemies and my, between the enemy cards and my cards, where positioning actually matters.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's quite weird in some ways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like there'll be a reason. Like I don't like. I guess like one thing I would say is obviously there will be a very good reason why they did that, right? But like, we just don't know because we weren't testing it. And
well, I wonder if it's because it's one of the more complicated parts of this game, and it's one of the more unusual parts of it.
And in some ways, it's almost like when you're teaching and like you have to teach to such a range of abilities, and so like for you play so many card games that immediately you start this and the basics and you're like, oh, so what's the point of these columns? And so there doesn't seem to be any point in these columns. Like, nothing's happening. And whereas other people who don't have that experience will be like just trying to get to grips with the fact I've got 2 decks and like I'm doing what's a card, like
that's fair.
And so yeah. You only one type of mana right now, right?
I only have one type. Yes, all the same type of energy. But I think I've got some. These extra powers are quite interesting as well.
Where'd you get those from?
From your equipment. Yeah, your gear. Yeah. That felt pretty sick. I should have probably played this guy. Oh, I couldn't have done that. I could have killed the enemy there. That was bad. Should have just done that. Right, we're pursuing them. So I bet you get like Altruist points if you let them go and stuff like that.
Yeah. They're robots though, right?
Is that a problem? Are you anti-robot?
Well, I mean,
just trying to scratch out.
You know what? Yes, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm anti-robot. I'm okay with that. Actually, I'm okay with being anti-robot.
Okay, fair enough.
They haven't done nothing to help me. Well, they made my car and my phone and
yeah. This is a guy who's played literal games where the only thing you're doing is building robots and making robots work and stuff.
There's a Steam tag that's robots.
Of course.
Like I found it today, and now I'm like thinking, I need to go down the robot hole.
we could have a robot month on stream.
Yeah. I've still like in my kind of like giving up to the Steam algorithm and buying whatever the Steam algorithm tells me to buy, has actually like really been kind of fun. And like I've discovered lots of games. Like, hey, guess what? There are a lot of games on Steam.
No,
there are a lot of games on Steam.
You lie.
Yeah, quite. And, like, my wish list has just been shooting up. Like, yeah, really. Like, just finding new niches and being like, yeah, there's a niche for this thing that, like, I've been trying to look for the perfect, like, space capital ship game.
Oh, okay.
Like, for years and years and years,
Yes.
forever, right?
Yeah.
Forever. And nothing's been quite right. But I found one that I'm kind of, I think it's Into the Stars or Through the Stars or something.
Okay.
Between the Stars, that's the one. Between the Stars looks really neat. It's in early access at the moment. It looks really, really cool, actually. Like, I might take a look at that. It's like a like RPG, but you're a captain, and it looks sweet. But it's like I think it's kind of got that feeling of like a naval battle, which is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like just so many. Like
so many games, so little time.
So many games, like so many of them. I still, every so often, I look at, there's a game called, I think I mentioned it before. What's it called? From the Depths or something. I think.
Right.
From the Depths, or it's a vehicle building game, and it's just bananas. How complicated it looks. Like people were saying, like, you know, there are whole like hours and hours long YouTube video tutorials how to build a boat, you know, from the depths. That's the one. Like really full on. Like, you know, we always talk about when me and Dave were kind of coming up with ideas for making a home, we always had the spectrum in our head, the spectrum of vehicle building games, where like on one end you've got Besiege, and what's on the other end? What's the kind of the no physics, the kind of, I don't know, like your Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, or like even what did we talk? What was like?
That's a good question. I've completely forgotten.
What was the other end of that spectrum? But like, how much is it? Do you need a physics degree or not to build a vehicle? Yeah, it's gonna bug me now. There was a game. There's like those drone games, right? Like what was it called? The one that. What's that game?
Oh yeah, I've got that. And
yeah.
It's not Ad Nauticus or something like that.
I don't know. So it's got a strange name.
Yeah.
Like Nimbatus or something.
Nimbatus.
Right?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, Oregon Trail. Yeah. Fair point, Dave.
So basically, Into the Depth, or From the Depth, this game is off that scale, right? Mm-hmm. It's the other side of the scale where you have to think about like buoyancy and like, as in like how much water you're displacing with your building, with the thing you're making, and just like it just looks. I don't know. Like maybe that's part of me is like, hey, maybe it's just that these people don't have engineering PhDs. Maybe actually, if I downloaded it, I'd pick it up in an hour. But
okay, I see. That's some big talk, Sean.
That is some big talk.
You might have to put your money where your PhD is, and maybe bring that to a stream sometime.
Well, I thought about it, but I didn't I didn't know how much to be like. Do you want to see me fiddling around with like blocks? Like, how much do you want to see me learning it?
I think like the people who come to our stream would love to see you do all that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're complete like masochists, people who watch our stream anyway.
So yeah, that's been the game that's kind of like scared me. Like, I've been scared to buy it because I thought my like the time to do that would be just.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just a time sink, but fine.
I think you could. Yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Our scout. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. That'd be fun. But I'm glad like you've been enjoying your Steam kind of not deep dive, but you know, getting into it.
Yeah. Because it started out as trying to understand how those systems work from a point of view of people trying to sell games, and the most so I think probably the most interesting thing to me is how I don't watch trailers, and that's what everyone says, and I realize I just naturally that's what I do. Is that I just skip through it, and I'm becoming one of the people that all these studies that people have done, like recording people using Steam. I did the thing that they all do of like, God, just show me gameplay. Like I'm looking. I realized that I was doing it. Like today, I was looking at games and I was like, I don't even know what kind of game this is. Like I can't tell what you're doing in the game because I'm specifically like looking for. I want a space game where you're like it's more like a naval game.
Yeah.
Rather than like I've got a joystick and I'm flying a game. And so I'm like trying to figure that out from the screenshots and the video can be tricky. So yeah, I don't know, like really interesting. Like it's been interesting and kind of like I think it's been fun like filling up my wish list and filling out with they're all like proper indie games, not like like I don't think there's anything here from like a AAA studio or like from a big unknown publisher, I guess. Yeah, lots of I just find it interesting how some like how these games have like some of them have found audiences and have little communities and yeah. So like that's what I'm doing at the moment is like trying to figure out like trying to make sure that Making a Home has the right tags really, so that it finds the right people.
Sure.
So I did some changes today on that, but like it can take a while. Oh, sure. Oh, hello. Okay, I was about to say it can take a while to see an effect, but actually, I just looked at the analytics and it seems to have.
Could that be because of our new key art? That was exciting, right?
Well, it's kind of it's like going to be a little bit of both. So, yeah, we got new key art. For those of you who haven't, if you go to the Making a Home store page, you can see it in all its glory. That was really like fun. like, do you know, like, I'm going to put a link to the store page because I want people to look at it. That was super fun. Like. They made like it's so Dave Soft has done lots of fan art which has been like nice to see and like
legendary as well.
Yeah, and really because it shows it's like a 3D version of like the 2D thing we imagined, and so to have an artist do that, I think as well, like this one, it's that similar feeling, you know. So that changed. I changed the short description as well, and I redid the about this as well to make that clearer. And so I was doing like small changes over a week. And then today I changed the tags because I kind of made sure that like over the week everything I did didn't break it, and so then today I changed the tags and. Yeah. Okay. See how it goes.
Nice, man.
Over
yeah.
the next, like 5 days and see if like the numbers get bigger.
Numbers get bigger. In a very different thing to numbers getting bigger, 2 of my cards apparently have become involved in a relationship.
Okay.
Become pregnant.
Wow.
Right.
Does that mean you're going to get another card?
And well, I don't know, but they want to know if they're going to cut. They've asked us should they continue on our pilgrimage or leave.
I think you keep them. The idea that you can breed your cards sounds pretty like.
I mean, I like the idea that stay with us, protect us with the convoy, and yeah, like so they're happy. But like, I'm definitely like. We're assaulting the fortress.
Right? So yeah, this feels like this is where it's getting. They're using those things, right?
So yeah, like even though that card, to be fair, that card was wounded. Like, or that card, should I say, Diana or Dahana, was wounded. So I was going to take her out anyway because I didn't want to lose it because it's a really good card. But now that she's pregnant, I'm definitely not gonna try and keep her out of the deck, right?
Yeah.
Right. Her fella isn't wounded, so he'll be safe to use.
But it's okay if we lose him.
Touche, right? I guess. I'm not entirely confident about that position, if I'm honest. But yeah, okay.
He's done his part.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, like, okay, so just a good example of,
Has anyone made like a collectible card game where the cards breed with each other and you get genetically crossed over cards?
Well, the obvious example is Pokemon, right?
Is it?
Well, they evolve.
You can't do that in the. Yeah, they evolve. But they just change to. That's always the same. But like, I mean, like, two cards breeding to make a third card that is a different card.
Yeah, it must have happened, right?
That has a combination of two cards. Like, maybe you could do. What's that game? There's a game which has like transparent cards that you put over each other. Isn't that what you do? Isn't that what you do in that game?
Yes, I know the one you mean. Yeah,
it's like a skeletons or something, right?
I thought it was like generic fantasy stuff.
I don't know.
Like almost woodlands type thing. You're wrong.
But yeah. I wonder if you. Yeah, so I wonder that might be a thing.
There is a physical game where you build the different parts of the cards. Like it's like you're right. It comes with like a plastic wallet type thing, and you put a top, a middle, and a bottom in, and it generates a card.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, that wasn't the one. There's one. The one I was talking about is where it's a bit different because it's as you pile up the cards, some of them are see-through, and so the effects.
Oh, okay.
Change as the deck piles up. You can see down, which is super interesting. Yeah, no, I was thinking more that like your gang of cards could breed with each other along this run to then become, but then you have to have different cards for different.
And it's like Dave still says, because it's a digital card game, you can do all kinds of weird stuff with digital card games that you can't do with a regular card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually proving a little challenging.
It's an interesting one because like, is the difficulty curve like the question is, if I was playing this, would I have been having difficulty way before you?
I don't know. Probably not. Like I'm not. I haven't been doing anything particularly exciting. In fact, I've made some mistakes. I've ballsed up at various points as well. So like, I have certainly not played a perfect game or anything like that. That's for sure.
So Dave's saying challenge publish a board game that includes a 3D printer. So something similar that one of my friends did is that he got a little dot matrix, very mini dot matrix, almost like a till receipt printer. Put that up to an Arduino, and like, I have like mixed feelings about Cards Against Humanity, but it was a Cards Against Humanity game thing, where what it would do is it would go onto the Cards Against Humanity subreddit where it's card suggestions and pick one at random and print one off.
Okay.
So you would always have like so that would play as well. So you'd push the button and it would print a card off, and then you'd add to the deck as like. But you'd know that was because it's different paper. But But I thought that was quite an interesting little thing he did, and I thought that was like that you could maybe use that somehow in an interesting way. So we always thought about. So I was working on a game right before the pandemic, literally weeks before the pandemic hit, and they kind of really just killed that project. Sure. Where I wanted to do a card game I wanted to have a deck. I had a card game that I designed, and it was a kind of game to do with like it's called Pollination, to do with like plants growing and stuff. And one of the decks was a weather deck. So it was just a deck of cards that would be based on the weather. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to have that deck to be on a phone, so that would be always changing. Mm-hmm. Based on the climate and the air, that maybe even the actual weather outside where you're playing would change the makeup of the deck, and then we could change it through time as well, through seasons. So every day would be a different game. Like, so you'd never have the same, because you'd have a different deck depending on the day of the year, depending where you are, that sort of stuff.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, so if you play in Winter, it snows a lot, exactly. But, you know, like the pandemic happened and that kind of... I've literally still got, like, I've got downstairs a big box of, like, I paid however much money to print off a bunch of prototype decks that I haven't cut out yet. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know, it's just something I haven't really thought about for a while, but... Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Mm-hmm. So intrigued by that card. Ruined my turn. Yeah, I love that idea of the deck, like the deck changing based on the season. I thought that was a super cool idea. So I'm kind of nearing the end of this particular map. We don't have to keep like running it until I do finish it. But, you know, it's nearly done, Zoes. So
yeah, it goes to the end of this map.
Sure.
So now he's filled. So has anything changed now that can you still attack? And that's the first time you've had a whole front row full.
I can still hit him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's like, it feels like Taunt is so essential. Like,
yeah.
Like unbelievably essential.
Yeah. Are you attacking your own people again?
I was, but like this guy just made that absolutely crazy. Like he went from a 1-4 to a 2-5 or to a 5-4. Like he just gained so much attack. It was totally worth it, and I killed loads of this guy.
Yeah.
Now. So yeah, they're always at 6. Yeah, I think I can just straight up kill the enemy. Like 13-4. Whoop.
Nice.
Right, one last fight. Oh, wait, yeah, quick trade. Where's some food? We'll move on. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't quite know how I feel about this. I do need to get more into some of the systems, like the leveling.
Yeah.
And you know,
it's.
Go on.
Yeah, I just saying, like, I still don't get the feeling of a roguelike.
No, the loop's very long.
The only reason I would think it was a roguelike is just because when you put it in on Twitch, it automatically came out as roguelike.
Exactly. Yeah.
And because we're playing it, so like, chances are.
Yeah.
Nowhere. Gold nowhere profit.
I think the thing is like, I'm like as I'm starting to scratch the surface of it, like it feels like there's a lot of opportunity for really interesting kind of convoy / deck compositions.
Oh, it's No More Robots.
Who? Oh, what, the developer?
No, the publisher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Realized I had some wounded guys in my deck. Okay, I do. What was I gonna say? So like, and that's super cool. Like, I really like the idea that there's potentially a lot of really complex things going on here, because I think that's exciting. But what's noticeable to me compared to things like Monster Train, like it takes you a long time to get into the points where I'm like, oh wow, that could be a really cool synergy.
Yeah.
Right, like normally it doesn't take this long.
Yeah. I'm just reading some reviews on Steam, and like some of them do mention roguelike.
Oh.
So there obviously is something going on there. Well, how long does Slay the Spire take to get through the whole thing?
I mean, that does take a while, but what I would say about that is that it's much quicker to get into like what your deck is trying to do. Like, and like be a bit more specialist about it and get strategies going on and synergies happening and things like that. Whereas this just feels like it is taking me a long time, like a surprisingly long time, to get the sense that I have I know what I'm trying to achieve with like what I'm trying to achieve with my deck. Like, I've just got a bunch of stuff, right? Like, I just got I've not got a strategy. I'm not trying to do anything particular with it. Like, I've just picked cards I think look quite good. Like, by now in Slay the Spire, I'm thinking, oh, that card works really well with that one, and if I put that in my deck, I might be able to do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
All I've realized so far is that I can hit the opponent really hard on the face. There's not much they can often do about it. See, as I have like a ton more health than they do, it doesn't really seem fair.
Yeah, I think Dave was saying about the roguelike is such a vague thing. Like, some people get really, well, like we kind of, I don't know, we kind of joke a little bit, but it's an interesting, the difference between the two terms is interesting. But then I think people do say something as a roguelike when it probably isn't. Like, because people like a lot of people would say that Saga 28 was a roguelike. I'm not sure it is. Is it?
I don't think so. It's got upgrades, but they're so simple. I don't think you could really. Okay, and we're in.
Yeah, it's arcade with unlockables. Yeah, I think it's just because as soon as someone sees a loop, they think that's it's like, oh, it's a loop, so it's got to be a roguelike. But obviously, that's not true.
Yeah,
not the case. Yeah.
Cool. So that's Nowhere Prophet, like a bit of a different
it seems
approach. I mean, the visuals are lovely. I think the gameplay's like top notch if you are into like a card deck building game that's trying to do something slightly different. You know, the lane approach, I think, is, you know, it's not that it hasn't been done, but it's kind of interesting in this sense. I feel like I'm scratching the surface. The difficulty rating, as people have like maybe asked, I might pop into the main menu and see if we can see a difficulty rating.
Maybe you did a new game? Did you not get a choice when you started the new game?
Not that I was aware of, no.
Right, okay.
So I don't know if like further loops it gets difficult. There's a rule book here, which explains. It's just like it's like almost like an old school manual. It's literally a rule book.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. But maybe as you unlock more stuff, more cards, more tactics become obvious and relevant, and you know, I'm sure you could go real deep on this game if this is your kind of jam. To me, it's a bit slow to get going. Like, it hasn't got its hooks in me because, at least yet, because I can't quite find the synergies that really are going to get me coming back to this again and again to do certain things and play certain cards. But, you know, maybe my attention span these days isn't what it used to be. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So next week, Sean, we'll be playing something of your
yes.
thing.
Do you want me to say what I'm playing? Shall I hint?
Give us a hint.
A hint is a game that I've been wanting to play for a while has recently come out of early access. It's going to be silly fun. Is what it's going to be.
That
silly
sounds good.
Fun.
That sounds good. Where can people find out about us, Sean?
They can find out about us at pillbug.zone. They should click the happy internet buttons wherever they happen to be right now. Happy
Great
internet
stuff.
buttons for anyone.
Everyone and anyone. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
Bye.